Last month, archaeologists in Peru made an announcement that should have been front-page news around the world. Using ground-penetrating radar, they confirmed what locals in Cusco had whispered about for 400 years. A tunnel system beneath the city, 1,750 meters long, connecting the Temple of the Sun to an ancient fortress on the outskirts of town. The tunnel runs exactly where a Spanish Jesuit described it in 1594. After 4 centuries of speculation, they finally have proof. Inca legends are real, and they are excavating it this spring. But here is what makes this discovery so troubling. The exact same radar technology was used at Machu Picchu 4 years ago. It revealed 12 unknown structures hidden in the jungle surrounding the site. Buildings that could fundamentally change what we understand about the Inca. Those structures? Still buried. No excavation scheduled, no explanation given. Peru just proved that Inca underground networks exist. So what are they refusing to dig up near Machu Picchu? And why? To understand what is really going on, we need to go back to 2021. A Polish-Peruvian research team led by Dr. Dominika Sieczkowska from the University of Warsaw had been studying a ceremonial complex called Chacha Bamba. It sits in the Vilcanota Valley, about 8 kilometers from the main Machu Picchu citadel. Chacha Bamba was known to archaeologists. It contains a main stone altar surrounded by 14 ritual baths, fed by water channels from the Urubamba River. Historical accounts suggest that visitors traveling to Machu Picchu were required to stop here first, a spiritual cleansing before entering the sacred city. But the jungle had reclaimed most of the site. Dense vegetation made traditional excavation nearly impossible. So Sieczkowska's team tried something different. They attached a LiDAR scanner to a drone and flew it over the canopy. LiDAR stands for light detection and ranging, and it fires billions of laser pulses at the ground. When the data comes back, software can digitally strip away the vegetation and reveal what lies beneath. The same technology had been used to discover lost Maya cities in Guatemala, hidden settlements in Honduras, and ancient networks in Cambodia that rewrote the history of the Khmer Empire. At Chacha Bamba, the results were immediate. The LiDAR scans revealed approximately 12 previously unknown structures, some of them just 60 feet from the main ceremonial complex. Buildings that tourists had been walking past for decades without knowing they existed. The structures were not grand temples or royal palaces. They appeared to be simpler constructions, rectangular and circular floor plans, built with less precision than the ornate stonework in the center of the complex. Sieczkowska's interpretation was that these were staff residences. They were housing for the people who operated the ceremonial site. The workers maintained the baths and managed the water channels. This might sound unremarkable, but it is actually significant. Machu Picchu was not just a royal retreat. It was a working complex that required constant maintenance. Someone had to manage the sophisticated drainage systems. Someone had to prepare the ritual baths. Someone had to grow food and maintain the terraces. The question archaeologists have debated for over a century is who these people were. Where did they come from? Were they locals, skilled craftsmen, or something else entirely? The 12 structures at Chacha Bamba could provide answers. They could be physical evidence of how the site actually functioned, and artifacts might reveal the daily lives of Inca workers. Sieczkowska's team published their findings in the Journal of Archaeological Science in January 2022. The paper included detailed LiDAR imagery, hydrodynamic models of the water channels, and a proposed excavation plan. Then everything stopped. The official explanation was COVID. Peru's borders had been closed. International research was suspended. The excavation permits could not be processed. That made sense in 2022. But then the borders reopened. International flights resumed. Tourists returned to Machu Picchu by the hundreds of thousands, and the excavations never rescheduled. By 2023, Sieczkowska's team had moved on to other projects. The 12 structures remained exactly where they had been found, buried beneath the jungle canopy, unexcavated. If you search for updates on the Chacha Bamba discovery, you will find the same news articles from early 2022. The same quotes from Sieczkowska about hoping to excavate next year. And then, nothing. 4 years of silence. Meanwhile, Peru's Ministry of Culture has approved countless other archaeological projects: tunnel excavations in Cusco, temple restorations in the Sacred Valley, and new tourism infrastructure throughout the region. But not the 12 structures. Not the discovery that could reveal how Machu Picchu's workforce actually lived. Now consider what happened in January 2025. Archaeologists Jorge Calero Flores and Mildred Fernandez Palomino announced they had confirmed the legendary Chincana tunnel system beneath Cusco. For centuries, this had been considered folklore. Stories passed down through generations about secret passages connecting the city's most sacred sites. Treasure hunters searched for the tunnels. Academics dismissed them as myth. Then Calero and Fernandez used the same technology that Sieczkowska used at Chacha Bamba: ground-penetrating radar and acoustic prospecting, the same methods that revealed the 12 structures. And they found it. A main tunnel running from the Temple of the Sun to the Sacsayhuaman fortress. 3 branch tunnels connecting to other sites, approximately 8 feet wide and 5 feet tall, built by excavating trenches, lining them with stone walls, and covering them with beams. Within weeks, excavation permits were approved. Calero announced that physical excavation would begin in March or April 2025. The timeline is striking. The Cusco tunnels were confirmed in January 2025, and excavations were approved by March. The Chacha Bamba structures were confirmed in January 2022. 4 years later, no excavation has occurred. Same technology, same country, same ministry approving the permits. So why dig one but not the other? The answer might lie in what the 12 structures could reveal. In July 2023, researchers from Yale, UC Santa Cruz, and the Max Planck Institute published a study that fundamentally changed our understanding of who lived at Machu Picchu. The team, led by Lucy Salazar and Richard Berger from Yale, analyzed the DNA of 34 individuals buried at the site. These were not royalty. They were believed to be retainers and attendants assigned to serve the Inca elite. The results were unexpected. The individuals came from across the entire Inca Empire, from coastal Peru, the northern highlands, the southern regions near Lake Titicaca, and, most surprisingly, the Amazon rainforest. About 1/3 of the individuals had significant Amazonian ancestry. These were people from deep in the jungle, 800 kilometers from the nearest Inca city, living and dying at Machu Picchu. One case stood out in particular. A woman buried at the site had genetic markers indicating she was from the Amazon lowlands. Analysis of her tooth enamel, which records chemical signatures from the water she drank as a child, confirmed that she grew up in the jungle. Buried next to her was her daughter. The daughter had the same Amazonian DNA, but her tooth enamel told a different story. She was born and raised in the Andean highlands, near Machu Picchu. She had never seen her mother's homeland. This was not migration. This was forced relocation across generations. The Inca did not just build a city in the clouds. They populated it with people taken from the farthest corners of their empire. Women who would never return home. Children who would never know where their parents came from. The Yale study analyzed 34 individuals. But here is what it did not address. Only 173 skeletons have ever been found at Machu Picchu. Historians estimate that between 300 and 1,000 people lived at the site over its 90 years of occupation. Even the conservative estimate means that hundreds of bodies are missing. Where are the rest of the dead? One possibility is that the remaining burials have not been found yet. They are hidden somewhere in the surrounding jungle, in areas that have not been excavated. Areas like the 12 structures at Chacha Bamba. If Sieczkowska's team had been allowed to excavate, they might have found burial sites. They might have found artifacts that reveal the daily lives of Machu Picchu's workers. They might have found evidence that expands the DNA study's findings. Or they might have found something else entirely. In 2010, a French engineer named David Crespi was visiting Machu Picchu when he noticed something strange. Behind a sealed stone entrance at the Temple of the Three Doors, there appeared to be a hollow space. The stones did not match the surrounding construction. They looked like they had been placed there to block access to something. Crespi mentioned this to French explorer Thierry Jamin, who had been researching Inca burial practices for years. Jamin's team brought ground-penetrating radar to the site. What they found matched Crespi's intuition. The radar detected cavities behind the sealed entrance, chambers consistent with burial vaults. Jamin submitted a formal request to Peru's Ministry of Culture for permission to conduct a careful excavation. He argued that the chambers might contain royal burials, perhaps even the tomb of Pachacuti himself, the emperor credited with building Machu Picchu. The request was denied. The ministry cited structural concerns. Opening the sealed door might destabilize the surrounding temple. The risk was not worth it. Jamin has continued to advocate for the excavation. He has produced documentaries about the discovery. He has gathered support from archaeologists around the world. The door remains sealed. If you have been following this story closely, a pattern starts to emerge. The 12 structures at Chacha Bamba never excavated. The sealed chambers at the Temple of Three Doors never opened. The 600-year-old Inca royal estate at Chinchero, currently being covered by a $700 million airport runway. 0 archaeological excavations were conducted before construction began. In August 2024, Peru conducted its first formal archaeological investigation at Machu Picchu in 8 years. 8 years without systematic research at one of the most important archaeological sites in the world. Meanwhile, visitor numbers have increased. In 2023, the site saw record tourism despite UNESCO raising concerns about carrying capacity. The government approved higher daily limits, more tickets, more revenue. New discoveries keep revealing that Machu Picchu was larger and more complex than previously understood. The LiDAR scans, the DNA studies, the tunnel confirmations. But excavating these sites would take time. It would require closing areas to tourists. It might reveal information that complicates the narrative. It might raise questions about who really lived there and under what conditions. The Cusco tunnels are different. They are beneath the city, not at a tourist site. Excavating them does not interfere with visitor access. They add to the mystery without disrupting the business model. Machu Picchu generates hundreds of millions of dollars in tourism revenue annually. It is Peru's most valuable cultural asset. Every decision about the site is filtered through that economic reality. This does not mean there is a conspiracy to hide information, but it does mean that certain types of discoveries are more convenient than others. A tunnel system beneath Cusco? Exciting news that generates headlines and attracts more visitors. 12 structures that might reveal the living conditions of forced laborers at a UNESCO World Heritage Site? Potentially complicated. Burial chambers that might require closing a major temple for excavation. Economically inconvenient. I want to be clear about what we know and what we are speculating. We know that LiDAR revealed 12 structures at Chacha Bamba in 2021. This is published in a peer-reviewed journal. It is not disputed. We know that planned excavations were cancelled and never rescheduled. This is documented. We know that Peru confirmed the Cusco tunnel system using similar technology and approved excavations within weeks. This is public record. We do not know why the 12 structures have not been excavated. The Ministry of Culture has not provided an explanation. Sichkovska's team has not publicly criticized the decision. There may be legitimate reasons we are not aware of, but the contrast is striking. And in the absence of explanation, questions multiply. The Yale DNA study showed that Machu Picchu was populated by people taken from across the Inca Empire. Women from the Amazon who never returned home. Mixed communities where people from distant regions lived together, had children together, and were buried together. This is consistent with historical accounts of the Yanacona, a class of servants permanently assigned to royal estates. They were believed to be skilled craftsmen and workers who received certain privileges in exchange for lifetime service. But the DNA evidence suggests something more complex: forced relocation on a massive scale, multi-generational displacement, a site that functioned less like a royal retreat and more like something else. The 12 structures at Chacha Bamba might provide physical evidence of how these workers lived. The artifacts inside might reveal their daily routines, their diets, their working conditions, or they might reveal nothing at all. We will not know until someone excavates them. If you have made it this far, you are probably not a casual viewer. You are the kind of person who wants to understand what is actually happening, not just consume content. Subscribe. I cover discoveries like this every week, the ones that mainstream media mentions once and then forgets. In March or April 2025, archaeologists will begin physical excavation of the Cusco tunnel system. This will be the first time anyone has entered these passages in potentially 500 years. What they find could rewrite the history of Inca engineering. It could reveal the true purpose of these underground networks. It could confirm legends that have been dismissed as myth for centuries. And if that excavation is successful, it raises an obvious question. If Peru can excavate a tunnel system measuring 1,750 meters beneath an active city, why can they not excavate 12 small structures in a jungle clearing? The Chacha Bamba site is not under a city. It is not structurally complex. It is a series of small buildings within a well-documented ceremonial complex. The excavation would take months, not years. The cost would be minimal compared to the tunnel project. The scientific value could be immense. Yet 4 years after discovery, no excavation is scheduled. There is one more element to this story that deserves attention. 60 archaeological sites exist within the Machu Picchu Historical Sanctuary. 60 documented locations that have never been systematically excavated. The main citadel that tourists visit is just one part of a much larger network. Royal estates, agricultural terraces, religious sites, worker settlements, all of them connected by the famous Inca roads. Most of these sites have been mapped. Some have been partially cleared. Very few have been properly excavated. The 12 structures at Chacha Bamba were discovered because someone pointed a LiDAR scanner at them. How many more structures are waiting beneath the jungle canopy? How many burial sites? How many artifacts? We are looking at one of the most famous archaeological sites on Earth, and we have barely scratched the surface. Not because we lack the technology, not because we lack the funding, but because decisions are being made about what gets studied and what remains buried. The Inca Empire lasted less than a century before Spanish conquest. In that time, they built road networks spanning thousands of kilometers. They engineered agricultural systems that fed millions. They constructed cities in locations so improbable that modern engineers struggle to explain how they did it. And then they vanished, their records destroyed, their descendants displaced, their secrets buried beneath jungle growth. Every excavation is an act of recovery. Every artifact provides evidence about a civilization that left no written history. Every skeleton analyzed tells the story of a person whose name we will never know. The 12 structures at Chacha Bamba could reveal how ordinary people lived in the shadow of Machu Picchu. The sealed chambers could contain the remains of emperors. The unexplored sites could rewrite everything we think we understand. But that can only happen if someone decides to look. In our next video, we are going to examine what the Yale DNA study actually revealed about the people buried at Machu Picchu. Not just the headlines, but the specific findings that did not make the news. A mother and daughter buried side by side. One grew up in the Amazon rainforest. One was born at Machu Picchu and never saw her mother's homeland. 34 skeletons were analyzed. Only one pair of close relatives among all of them. And the disturbing question the researchers could not answer. If 300 to 1,000 people lived at this site, where are the other 800 bodies? That video drops next week. Until then, consider what we have learned today. Peru just proved that 400-year-old legends about Inca tunnels are real. They are excavating them this spring. But 12 structures discovered at Machu Picchu 4 years ago remain buried. No excavation, no explanation, no timeline. What is in those structures that they do not want us to see?